A very, very hot topic, which is the power of using food for our kids to help them with learning, with their memory, with preventing depression, anxiety, ADD, ADHD. So what if there was a simple way to be able to do that, to help our kids grow healthier and prevent all those problems? So welcome, Jess, Sherman. Thank you for being here. I'm very excited because kids' brain health is a topic that not a lot of people talk about. We just talk about how picky the kids are eating. They don't want to eat the broccoli. I don't know what to do. But we don't really think about the impact of food in our kids to prevent a lot of disorders. So what a better person to bring here today for a quick Instagram live than Jess Sherman to talk about that, because today we have great news. There are big news, and is that Jess is launching her book, Raising Resilience, and today is just 99 cents. I already got my copy, and the good news is that already became Amazon national bestseller in Canada. It is an amazing book that all parents should have in their hands. So Jess is here to tell us a little bit about the book and how can help your kids in preventing in using food as a powerful tool to prevent those disorders. Welcome, Jess.
Thanks. We just got Canada and the US, so I'm very excited. Folks are really digging the book, and also it's a relaunch. I actually wrote the book 5 years ago, and I'm re-releasing it into the world because right now, man, kids are struggling. Like, there's so much. So are parents. Everybody's struggling, right? Like, anxiety's through the roof, depression, suicide. It's like the tics are back, the OCD is back. Like, everything is flaring because stress has just become, unmanageable for a lot of people. So I decided, I was like, I gotta re-release the book. So that's why it's 99 cents, because I just want everyone to have this information.
I mean, this is so powerful because it's true that we go through very tough moments, and we just think as an adults how difficult and how many depressions we go through during this pandemic and these difficult times, but we don't think about our kids, how it has been to stay home for such a long time, not having contact with the friends. Like, that has caused a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety to them. So this book, I think, is a perfect timing, as you said, to help people identify which could be the main triggers also for their kids to be going through all those symptoms. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more which are those triggers, who this book is for.
And well, it's for any parent who wants to just learn how to support their children's bodies, because we're so ill-equipped when we become parents, which is so weird because it's such a physical experience to birth a child, and then we're like, okay, how do I take care of it? And it becomes a little bit overwhelming. So it's for any parent who just wants some direction on how to feed their kids and have strong health. But it's also for parents who want to use food therapeutically for whatever reason. Maybe it's constipation, maybe it's acne or eczema, maybe it's ADHD or depression or anxiety. Because it's all the same. This is the thing. When you know this, it's just with nutrition. It's like we all need the same basic thing. We need water, air, fresh food. We need love and connection, feeling safe, sleep, right? But when it comes to families, in the family context, it's become less, what's the word? It's not an easy thing to do, to get all those things met. And so partly the book just simplifies. I think as parents, we just need simplicity. Just like bring it down and let's focus, instead of like chasing all of the symptoms or, all the diets or all this stuff. Let's just understand some of the core pillars of how the body works so that we can use food strategically. And it brings a whole breath of fresh air to be like, oh, okay. And it's simple. I mean, there's 3 core pieces to it. There's nourish, there's get the junk out, and there's support the digestion, which you're an expert at, So if you can do those 3 things And the book has lots of strategies and, you know, really practical things to put in there. Then you're going to have a nice, healthy, resilient child. And that sounds super oversimplistic, but that's the framework, right? There's lots of nuances inside that. You know, what if they won't eat? What if they have allergies? What if their gut's a mess and they can't poop? So there's lots of stuff inside there that we have to unpack. But as parents, you know, if we don't have a framework to put information in, it just we just spin it. As any busy person, like not just parents, just you got to have a structure.
And as you said, gut health is so important. Both of us that we have been working with a lot of people like that, we know how important is food to fuel our gut, because there is a huge connection brain-gut. So any toxin that may be accumulated, we don't break the food well, we end up with microbial dysbiosis, inflammation, all those toxins can circulate to the brain and then start causing a lot of disorders like ADD, ADHD, depression, anxiety. So just a simple dairy product allergy could be one of the biggest triggers also for a problem like this. So learning how really use food as medicine to be able to heal that is important, because even before pandemic and these difficult times, I have seen that during the years, more and more kids at the school, they get into that box. Okay, you have ADHD, you have the ADHD, this is the med that you have to take, so you are a little bit more calm down, and then you are able to focus in class, and it shouldn't be like that, right?
Yeah, and that's why I called it Raising Resilience, is because resilience is, once I discovered the word resilience, I was like, oh, that's what I've been talking about for so long, right? First, I was a teacher. I used to be a teacher before I taught school, and it was all about resilience. We didn't call it resilience, but it was all about that, which was helping kids manage stress and grow from stress, right? Stress is an inevitable part of life. So you have a stressful situation, you have a stressful experience, you have a new thing, you have an expectation put on you, whatever. We should be able to grow from that rather than go into a panic attack or get anxious or have an eczema flare, or, you know, like have these symptoms. And what I recognized was that pretty much any symptom is a reflection of an imbalance between stress load and stress tolerance. So your stress load is too high, your stress tolerance is too low, and that is going to, I mean, our body has such amazing mechanisms for regulating stress, whatever kind of stress, and because it's so complex and so complicated, that can turn into just about any symptom. It can show up in the skin, it can show up in the eyes, it can show up in the hair, it can show up in the mood and the behavior, it can show up in the gut, you know. So that's what I recognized is like, wow, all of these kids are struggling from what I call eroded resilience, which is stress load is too high, stress tolerance is too low. What can we do about that? Especially what can we do about that when there's, like right now, where there's so many stressors that are outside of our control to manage? What can we do? Well, what we can do is we can improve stress tolerance. We can improve stress capacity. And that's what the book is about, how to do that.
So this is important. So when we're talking about how food can fuel them in order to learn, to be more focused, to overcome all of that and grow healthier, we're not talking just about the food that we put in our mouth. We're talking about also other techniques, like how to manage their stress, how to help them move it forward in that sense. So we are talking more about the holistic way of
yeah, well, it's like identifying. It's like, okay, let's take that stress load and let's unpack it, and let's figure out what the stressors are so that we can identify which ones we can manage and which ones we can't. And then let's boost stress tolerance with, that's really just all about nourishing the nervous system. But the missing piece of this puzzle, and this is why I left teaching, is because that's what we were doing with teaching, right? We were doing all kinds of creative educational strategies to help kids with that. But when I started to understand that a lot of those stressors are actually biological, they're actually happening inside the body. They're things like you mentioned, like food sensitivities or gut problems, dysbiosis in the gut, or nutrient imbalances, things like that, you could be managing that stress all you want and telling your kid it's okay, talking them through a panic attack, talking them through an anxiety, giving them the tools and all of these things, and that's wonderful. But if they have these biological stressors going on, then you're only going to get so far. And that's what I was finding. Parents and teachers feel like they're just banging their head against the wall because they're like, oh my gosh, we've gone over this. You have the skills, you have the tools. Why can't you use them? It's because they're fighting their biology, and we need to uproot those stressors so that those tools become so much more useful.
And that's so important, the stressors at the biological level, because sometimes it's just a basic mineral deficiency that is a cofactor for some neurotransmitters to learn how to manage stress much better. So it's why we talk about food as a very important fuel for that, because sometimes it's just a little imbalance that doesn't help us, focus. We end up with memory fog, brain fog, like less capacity to manage stress. So maybe just a B deficiency could be one of the reasons. So
yeah, sometimes it's really simple and sometimes it's really complex. And what I've given people in the book is a framework for how to look at it, right? How to make sure you've covered your bases, you've checked, and if you're like check, and you're like, oh wow, that made a massive difference. My kid just dropped their ADHD diagnosis, or we no longer have panic attacks, or whatever, then you don't have to worry about the rest of it. But if you don't have that framework, you don't really know where to look, and you're just sort of trying this and trying that and trying this and trying that, and it gets really confusing for parents. So yeah, that's what it does. It gives you the framework. It's the same framework that I do in my coaching. I walk parents through it, but it's in the book.
So do you think this goes, because maybe there are some parents now listening to this and say, wow, but my kids are really picky eaters. I just, because they don't want to eat vegetables, I just give them whatever they want because at least they eat something. So is it possible with the book also to be able to manage something like this?
Yeah, there's a whole section about picky eaters. I couldn't write a book about kids' nutrition without talking about picky eaters. But that's why the framework is so helpful, because if you have a really picky eater, you're probably not going to start with taking foods out because they only eat 3 foods, right? And so you can't just take them out. Yes, they're probably bad for them. They're probably, milk, bagels, and pasta. But if you take them out, what are they going to eat? And that freaks parents out when they go to the doctor and they're just like, you can't eat those foods, so sorry. And they're like, oh. So if you have a really picky eater, maybe you don't start with that part of the framework. Maybe you start over here with sleep, or you start over here with some supplements, or you start over here with taking out the chemicals in your house, or, there's so many different places you can start. And you got to do what's manageable for you to do, and just take steps forward, and until you get where you want to go.
Well, thank you, Jess. I really encourage everybody to get this book, because I think this is the secret and all the tools that you are going to need to finally, for your kids to start eating healthy and start fueling not only their brain, but their entire body, and prevent a lot of disorders. And today it's just 99 cents. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's free. So it's just for everybody to get it in their hands. So as I said, it has become a national bestseller already in Canada. I'm very excited already to have my copy too. And I hope all of you do it too. And there are bonus. Maybe you can tell us before we finish a little bit about those bonus.
Yeah. So in re-releasing it, I put together a little package of updates, and because I've learned a thing or two over the last 5 years. So one thing I've done is I took the recipes. There's a bunch of recipes in there, and I took them out and I put them in a printable format so you can have them in your kitchen. I wrote a new chapter on using supplements specifically for cognition and learning and mood. And what was the third one? Can't remember what. The third one was an update video on just some of the things that I've learned over the years and how I work with this material. So all of that, and then there's our community, our Facebook community, if people want to kind of engage in conversation about it, which is the Raising Resilience community. So all that information is on the book page, which is jesssherman.com/
Yeah, we have the link in the description of this video, and also in my bio. You can click the bio and also check the link. So thank you for your generosity for bringing all these bonuses. I can see that you are trying to make it a no-brainer for every single parent to be able to grow healthy kids. So thank you very much, and I wish you best luck with the book launch. I know that is doing already very good, and thank you for joining. Thanks.
Thanks for your support. I really appreciate it. I hope parents find this helpful.
Have a very good day. Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.